What's up? Good morning, buenos dias, and ciao, ni hao. It's me, Mr. Jordan. Today we're going to be looking at The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, chapter 27. So we'll start with a brief recap and summary of the chapter. Then we're going to get into a close reading and do a line-by-line analysis. And finally, we'll finish with the vocabulary along with some context and definitions for the word. Brief recap of chapter 27. Our narrator Offred goes for a walk with another handmaid of Glen, and they go to Flesh and Loaves. They go to Loaves and Fishes, so they're doing their grocery shopping to pick up some bread and fish, but we find out there's in fact no bread, there's just fish. They walk farther past the library and the wall. Today there's no bodies at the wall. The library as well. In front of Soul Scrolls, which is where they print prayers. So there's a mass printing press shipping out and manufacturing prayers for all the wives to buy. That's all they have left to buy. They have a brief exchange where Glen asks Offred if she thinks God is listening to the machines printing out the prayers. In essence, she's questioning her faith. Does she think that there's an all-seeing, all-knowing, all-powerful, omniscient God? And when Offred says no, it signals that they're in fact both non-believers, right? They're heretical. They're the opposition of everything that the theocracy now running Gilead believes in. And what this leads to ultimately is a conversation that there is some sort of underground rebellion. There's an us that Glen knows about, and Offred is now being informed of. And as they're having this talk, walking down the street, a black van swoops in, shark-like, and the car is marked with the eye and the wings of Gilead, and out jump a couple of sort of big bad guys, and they nab someone off the street, grab him, put him in the van, drive him off. Shades of people being disappeared in Argentina or in other totalitarian regimes, right? This idea that the government eliminates its own citizens right before your very eyes. Someone can vanish, never to be seen. Let's get into a little bit deeper analysis or a closer reading of the chapter 27. One of the reoccurring sort of themes or images in this chapter is of the abundance that once existed that's now gone. So there's this memory of America or of what happened before as a place of plenty. In the fish store, there was haddocks, swordfish, scallops, tuna, lobsters, salmon, pink and fat. So it's this cornucopia, bountiful produce, everything they could imagine, the freedom to choose, to consume. And now we hear, quote, "Could they all be extinct, like the whales?" I've heard that rumor passed on to me in soundless words, the lips hardly moving, as we stood in line outside, waiting for the store to be open. Lured by the picture of succulent white fillets they put the picture in the window when they have something. Take it away, then they don't. Sign language. So we're getting this oppositional picture here, both between the colorful, variegated rainbow of choice that used to exist and the stern, omnipresent black and white contrast of us versus them, right? Heathens versus believers. Those who choose to participate in Gilead, and everyone else who's an outsider and should be outside the walls. Quote, "We've been to the stores already and the church. Now we're at the wall. Nothing on it today. They don't leave bodies hanging as long in summer as they do in winter because of the flies and the smell. This was once the land of air sprays, pine and floral, and people retain that taste. Especially the commanders who preach purity in all things." It's this idea of absence and opposition, and also the idea that some of the people preaching these notions of Gilead are hypocrites, right? As we know, the commander in Offred's house is a hypocrite, so his name must be Fred, even though it's never mentioned. He's hypocritical in that he wants to control certain aspects and make other people live by these strict fundamentalist religious faith-based rules. He also wants to read books and play Scrabble and have magazines and trade in lotion. So you're understanding this idea, right? The people who break the rules are also the people who make the rules. They have the power to do so. There's also this idea that a real tension is building, right? The absence of emotion or of produce or of food creates a hunger. It creates this like black hole. Something has to go in there. Something has to fill this absence. And what's going to fill it is this spark of resistance or rebellion. So we hear, quote, "Standing where I am, taking a last look at the wall, there are red bricks, there are searchlights, there's barbed wire, there are the hooks. Somehow the wall is even more foreboding when it's empty. When there's someone hanging on it, at least, you know the worst. But vacant, it is also potential, like a storm approaching. When I can see the bodies, the actual bodies, when I can guess from the sizes and shapes that none of them is Luke, I can believe also that he is still alive." This idea, there's nothing more scary or fearful in human existence than the unknown, than chaos. Anything could be lurking out there. We get to the big moment in the chapter when it's revealed by Offglen that there's a resistance, and when Offred reveals to her a little bit of her truth, that she does not believe in faith in God. The Windows Soul Scrolls is shatterproofed. Behind it, there are printout machines, row upon row of them. These machines are known as holy rollers. This is a reference to 1980s evangelism in the United States. The holy rollers were the TV preachers. But only among us, it's a disrespectful nickname. What the machines print is prayers, roll upon roll, prayers going out endlessly. There are 5 different prayers for health, wealth, a death, a birth, a sin. You pick the one you want, punch in the number, then punch in your own number so your account will be debited, and punch in the number of times you want the prayer repeated. This could possibly be a reference to Nazis using punch card systems during the Holocaust to keep track of everyone they were trying to kill and eliminate. Each machine has an eye painted in gold on the side, flanked by 2 small golden wings. And then Offgled breaks the silence. "Do you think God listens," she says, "to these machines?" She's whispering. I could scream. I could run away. I could turn from her silently to show her I won't tolerate this kind of talk in my presence. Subversion, sedition, blasphemy, heresy, all rolled into one. I steel myself. "No," I say. She lets out her breath, a long sigh of relief. "We've crossed the invisible line together. Neither do I," she says. Big moment. This is really, the line's been drawn in the sand in Gilead, and they're both putting their toe across that line and saying, look, we remember another way, another world. We don't have to follow the rules of this theocracy. There's another way out. "I thought you were a true believer," Offglen says. "I thought you were," I say. "You were always so stinking pious," she says. "So were you," I say. I want to laugh, shout, hug her. "Us," I say. "There's an us then? There's a we?" I knew it. "You didn't think I was the only one," she says. I didn't think that. It occurs to me that she may be a spy, a plant, set to trap me. Such is the soil in which we grow. But I can't believe it. Hope is rising in me like sap in a tree, blood in a wound. We've made an opening. So this is a huge moment, right? There's a feeling of elation or euphoria. Like she's having all of her hopes and desires and lonely dreams in the household, not necessarily fulfilled, but they're at least commiserated. The two of them are coming together and sharing and knowing they're no longer alone in this struggle. This really creates a sense of thirst and power in Offred. Just as quickly, Atwood comes in with a dark contrast, the colorless, menacing, foreboding eyes. Something is happening. There's a commotion, a flurry among the shoals of cars. Some are pulling over to the side as if to get out of the way. I look up quickly. It's a black van with the white-winged eye on the side. It doesn't have the siren on, but the other cars avoid it anyways. It cruises slowly along the street, as if looking for something, a shark on the prowl. And the shark, of course, nabs someone. The eyes get out of the unmarked car, take a guy off the street, put a bag over his head, make him disappear. And finally, Offred just tells us, what I feel is relief. It wasn't me. The individual is her concern in the end. She's not a part of the collective in Gilead. She's an outsider. Let's get into some vocabulary from the chapter. Speculation. The forming of a theory or conjecture without firm evidence. So she'd been speculating all along that there was a resistance, and now the speculation is confirmed. Speculation can also refer to like stock speculation. So when you're gambling or betting, something's going to happen in the stock market. A heresy is a belief or opinion contrary to the orthodox religion or doctrine. So opinion profoundly at odds with what is generally accepted. So their belief that there is no God, that God is not omniscient and listening, that's a heresy. It goes against everything that's been set out in Gilead and in the theocracy that's taken over America. Sedition is conduct or speech inciting people to rebel against the authority of a state or monarch. So it comes from seditio, which means apart or going apart. So they're breaking off from the mainstream. They're leaving Gilead behind. Blasphemy. So blasphemy is the action or offense of speaking sacrilegiously about God or sacred things. It's profane talk. So it comes from the Latin blasphemia, which means to slander. In other words, they're talking badly of God, right? They're standing in front of soul scrolls, looking at their own reflection in the glass, seeing each other eye to eye and saying, this is all made up. This stuff of Gilead, what they're preaching, what they're telling us, what they're enforcing as law, it's not real. When you do that, when you say something's not real, form a partnership, that's a resistance, right? That is the rebellion right there of Glenn and Offred. Thanks so much for watching. That was chapter 27 of The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. I hope you liked the video and really enjoyed it. If you have any comments or questions, leave them below. So just ask any. Thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I will see you in chapter 28 of The Handmaid's Tale.